Hello there. In this video, you will learn how to set up Flutter and Android Studio on Windows. I divided this video into 4 sections. First section will be about installing Git. Second section of this video will be installing Android Studio. And then third, it will be about installing Flutter SDK. And by the end of this video, I will help you create your first app using Android Studio and Flutter. To install Git Bash, on Windows, open a browser and type git bash download. For Macs, you don't need to do this step. Okay, click downloads and choose Windows. Then click where it says click here to download at the top and save it. Okay, give it a moment until it finishes. Okay, now it is done. Click on it. And this click yes, next. Okay, click next. Make sure you select this one so you can see the icon on the desktop, but you don't have to do it. If you want it, I will select it. Next, next. And click install. Give it a moment to finish the installation. Okay, now click finish and come back here. Click on the search and type git. Okay, you should see git bash at the top, git cmd and git GUI. What we want is git bash. Open git bash, and if you see something similar to this, it means it went through, the installation is finished. But let's test it. ls. Okay, that it looks good, and we will move to the next step, which is installing Android Studio. So minimize this and open a new tab to install Android Studio. Search Android Studio and hit enter. Then click on download Android Studio and app tools. And click on download Android Studio here. Scroll all the way down and click on I have read, and then download Android Studio. Okay, save it. Give it a moment to download it. You can dismiss this. Okay, so it's almost done. Okay, click on it to open. And it should open. Click yes. And click next, next, and next. Then hit install and give it a moment to finish the installation. So after this step, what we will do is install Flutter SDK. Okay, so Android Studio installation is complete, and click next. We don't want to start it now. We will start it after we install the Flutter SDK, which is next step. Okay, to install Flutter, we have to create a folder called src, a source file for Flutter, in our computer. And to do that, open File Explorer and click this PC, click local disk C, and right click here to create a folder. Then click new folder, name it src. I already have one, but yours should be creating that folder, and this is the folder that I created now. Okay, let's minimize this and open a new tab, search Flutter, install, then click the first one, Flutter install, choose Windows. Okay, git bash, the first application that we installed in this video. It is, let's get this, and you can just search it if you already closed it. If you search git bash, it will open it, but I have it here. We have to navigate to this folder that we just created, and to navigate we need the path of the source folder that we created. So if you click here, you can copy this path. So right click and copy, then go back, open git bash, which is this one, and type cd, which means change directory, or change this folder, like take me from this folder to another folder. Okay, and right click, paste, hit enter. Okay, we are inside the folder, inside this folder that we just created. And minimize this, minimize git bash, and this is the command that we need to copy from here. We don't need this part, we already navigated to that folder. So copy this, starting from git clone to stable, then right click, copy, open git bash, right click and paste it, hit enter, and it will start cloning from GitHub, and give it a moment. Okay, there was no error, and it is done cloning Flutter. Okay, open the source file that we just the source folder that we just created. If you closed open File Explorer, if you closed File Explorer, then just open it and click this PC, local disk, and it is here, src. So as you can see, git bash, we used git bash to clone or download Flutter, and it is here. So double click on this folder and look for a file name called Flutter console, this one. So Flutter console, and double click on this, it will open a command line. So this means we have installed Flutter, and let's test if it is working by typing Flutter, Flutter doctor, Flutter Doctor, and Flutter Doctor updates all the packages that need updates, and also it installs Dart, which is the language that we use Flutter to program apps or projects. So give it a moment. This might take a while, so we can go and do the next thing and come back to this. Okay, now Flutter will only work if we are inside this folder, source, the one that we created before we cloned Flutter from GitHub. And there is a way to fix this issue. So click on the search bar and type env, edit the system environment variables, and hit enter. Then what you will do is click environment variables and double click on path. Then here is where we will create an environment variable that allows Flutter to run everywhere on your Windows computer. So click new, and we will need the path. So, and that path will be here. So we are under source folder, and inside that we went to Flutter folder. So double click on bin and copy this path. So it should be c/source/flutter/bin. And where is it? Here. So click new and Control V or right click and paste it. And to save it, you have to click OK, OK, OK. And let's go back to Flutter Doctor and see if it's done. It is still downloading, so we will wait this to finish. Then we will test if it has errors or not. Okay, as you can see, it has found that there is 3 issues, but those 3 issues are Chrome extension, Visual Studio Code, and toolchain, which is not important. We have Android Studio, which is important for this video setup, installed. The SDK is installed, so this looks good. Let's test. What we have to do now is test Flutter Doctor again on CMD here, and it should work because we have give the environment. Okay, and let's open another CMD and it should work. We don't have to be under source folder every time that we need to run Flutter. Now it can be accessed from everywhere on this computer. So if we type Flutter Doctor, it should give us the same thing, and it's working fine. Okay, the next step is creating a demo application or your first Flutter application using Android Studio and Flutter. Okay, so now we have Flutter SDK installed and it is running. We have to, in this section, in the last section of the video, I will show you how to create your first Flutter application using Android Studio. So click here the search bar and search Android Studio and open it, hit enter or click on the app. Okay, before we do that, we have to install Flutter plugin on Android Studio. and it can work that way. It can work with the SDK that we have locally installed. And click on plugins, and it should be the first 4 or 3 options. Flutter here, install, and it will ask you to install Dart too, so install. And it will ask you to restart the IDE, which means the Android Studio app. If you click here, restart IDE and restart, that will do it. Okay, now Flutter plugin is installed. We can create our Flutter project. Click on new Flutter project here, and it will ask you to enter the SDK path here. I have installed Flutter on a new drive because my drive was getting full, 14 gigabytes. So but for you it should be, if you have followed when I installed Flutter SDK, it should be c:/src/flutter FLUTTER. This should be what you have to enter here if you followed Flutter when I installed Flutter SDK. But I have figured out that I didn't have enough space on my C drive, and I had to install it on my other drive. And click next. Here you can give your app's name, so I will name it demo and leave everything else as default. So click finish and give it a moment to create the Flutter project. Okay, so here we have our Flutter app, but before we do anything, we have to create an Android emulator. So click here, device manager on top right, and click on create device, and I will select Pixel 6, then next. And for me, I have already downloaded, but click on R and you will see this icon that looks like an arrow facing down. So you will see an arrow facing down here, and click on it. It will install. It is about 8 gigabytes, so make sure you have enough storage to install this. I have already installed this one. You will just click and it will run the installation. Then after you're done, you can just click finish installing the image. Okay, I have already installed R, and click next, click finish, and give it a moment or two before you run it. Okay, now let's click launch. Click on the play button to launch the emulator, and in here you can see it is loading. It might take 2 to 5 minutes to load and finish the installation of the Android emulator after you click create device and go through the process that I showed you. But just be patient and it will finish. And this, I will show you another way that you can have this maximized so you can see the Android app better. We will take it from this place to just a pop-up that you can take it everywhere. But for now, let's leave it here. Okay, as you can see that our Android emulator has booted up and it is ready to run. Now to run the application, so before I do that, let me introduce you to this part. Every code that you write for a Flutter app will go under this folder called lib or lib. Everything else is just settings or configurations. So everything that you have under here will be the main code that you write for the app. And this demo app comes with the installation. I did not write this, but it is easy to understand when you learn how Flutter and Dart are used to create projects, which I will upload a couple of projects in the future using Flutter and Android Studio. Okay, so to run, make sure you can see Pixel or the phone emulator that you have selected here. So it should match this name here. And this is the file, so you don't have to change anything. Select or click on this play button, the green play button, run. And what this will do is it will build the app and run on the emulator here. So, and usually this takes 5 to 7 minutes. So it is building the Gradle task now. Okay, so it took less than 3 minutes, but sometimes it takes a while. Okay, so we can see that the Flutter demo app is running, and if we click on this button, the plus button, it should react, and this code is what is keeping this look like this. Okay, next step. So this is all for the main video, and I will add one optional step that you can take this as a pop-up, so you can take it everywhere. If you click on File and click on Settings and look for Emulator, so under Tools and Emulator, so in here, if you uncheck this box that says Launch in a tool window and apply, and then click OK, so you have to restart this. So let's minimize it. We have to restart the emulator, so close it, and we will stop this running, and I will close Android Studio and reopen it again. Okay, so this time let's run it again. First run the emulator before you run the app. This is a way to run the app. This is a way to run the emulator. Okay, this is what I was talking about here. Now it's not in a window. I can take it everywhere. It might take so we have to turn it on, back on again. And let's run the app. Click here. And it should take less than what it took before. So now you can see the emulator will appear here next to the Android Studio. It will appear here, and we can have them on another monitor or another screen if you have another one, or you can just minimize the Android Studio and you can use it everywhere. So it should work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it is working fine. And this emulator can be used not only for developing apps, it can be used as a regular virtualized Android phone, basically. So the app will be demo there and it should work. And that's all for today. If this video helped you, please make sure to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you for watching this video. Bye.